Hello and welcome to my update on monsoon session, the first day of the monsoon session in the Parliament. The Parliament has convened almost after 3.5 months. And in the 3.5 months, we've seen a lot happen, a lot of action take place. We've seen state elections happen. We've seen DMK, which was in power in Tamil Nadu, lose the Tamil Nadu elections and the rise of TVK, and due to which the Congress party aligned with TVK, and today DMK stands outside of the Congress bloc and has asked for a seating in the parliament, which reflects that. The other part was the TMC losing in West Bengal, and TMC saw an exodus of its MPs and its MLAs, but in different formats in the Rajya Sabha, different format in the Lok Sabha, and different format in the Assembly. And I'll get more to that later in my another video on why this is problematic. Similarly, Shiv Sena UBT, my party, saw exodus of 6 MPs, again engineered through an engineered split, and they have moved to the Shinde Sena. The movement, probably the numbers that you see between the budget session and the monsoon session, is the highest crossover in the history of Parliament. Well, I'll speak on that, more on that later. However, since this was the first day of the Parliament, the NEET protests have reached a crescendo. The paper mafia leak, which has led to several disruptions in the exams that are conducted in the country, and has sought accountability from the Education Minister. Dharmendra Pradhan ji, in his parliamentary speech in 2024, when there was a NEET paper leak, he had announced that he is going to set out some measures that would ensure that there would be no paper leaks. But in 2026, we saw paper leaks happen again, and how paper leak mafia continues to thrive despite assurances from the government of India. The paper got postponed. Many students dropped out. They did not want to give an exam again. 22 students chose to end their lives rather than reappear for an exam. However, the exam was reconducted, but several dropped out of the process. That led to a whole lot of protests coming from the people, especially the students of this country. And let's not forget the CBSE fiasco. Well, I'll get to that later too. But the demand was uniform, that the education minister needs to resign. Why is the government protecting him? Why is the head of the cabinet, which is the prime minister, continuing to ignore the accountability that people seek from him, is a question for the prime minister to answer. However, these protests led to Chief Justice of India, in his casual comments, say that these protesters are nothing but cockroaches. That led to an entire movement of Cockroach Janta Party, which has found resounding success in the kind of support it has received, and for over 20 days have been protesting outside Jantar Mantar, asking for the resignation of the education minister, which is in forthcoming. No minister has gone to Jantar Mantar to meet Sonam Wangchuk till now, but he is now in the hospital under supervision of the medical doctors. But during those 21 days that he was fasting, no minister even tried to meet him or try to engage with him or try to begin a conversation. This is something, instead of sending ministers, we saw Delhi police swoop down early morning to take Sonam Wangchuk to the hospital. The protest has continued, and today was a call to walk towards the parliament. Again, of course, that has been denied by the Delhi police, the permissions, and we are seeing a whole lot of ground support swell, especially the students who are coming out in support for this particular protest. But they have been not allowed to go up to the parliament. As is always, the customary address by the Prime Minister did speak about the youth of this country, and he spoke about the achievements of this country in the 3.5 months, and he's well within his rights to do so, and it is well taken by the people of this country. They know, and they get a brief idea of what is really happening in terms of development of this country, where in particularly he spoke about how the youth are contributing to the development of this country in the context of Skyroot. Of course, we are all proud of Skyroot and what it has done for India's stature globally. We're the third country in the world which has managed to get a private player into a space to explore our space industry. Only us, they say third only after India, US and China. So we're extremely proud. But while he was talking about it, he said the average age of the students is around, of the employees at that particular company is around 28 years of age. Of course, he continued to be silent on those 22 deaths of young students who were looking to contribute towards India's economy, just because we do not have the gumption to seek resignation of Dharmendra Pradhan. So the question then arises that why is it that the Prime Minister continues to hold on to Dharmendra Pradhan? This wouldn't have been a first. Easing out the Education Minister wouldn't have been a first since 2014. We've seen easing out of Smriti Irani, who was the HRD Minister. We've seen Dr. R.P. Nishank being moved out of the particular role that he was given. Why is it that the Dharmendra Pradhan continues to be the most valuable jewel in Modi ji's cabinet despite people launching these protests? These protests wouldn't have peaked and wouldn't have come to this stage if the government had nipped it in the bud by easing out the education minister. So what do you think about it? And of course, during this entire session, I will continue to speak to you all directly and explain to you what really are the contention points, what is really happening with the various bills. I'll give you a brief idea about what the bills are, what the opposition is, what the government is trying to bring in. Then, of course, some interesting 0 hours as they come. And of course, the opposition versus the government treasury benches is interesting. Would be interesting to note whether Dharmendra Pradhan will be asked to resign, step down, keeping in mind and respecting the mandate of the people that has been given to Shri Narendra Modi for the third term. Having said that, I would have been really interested, and actually this is something I've been thinking over the 6 years, that while it's customary for the Prime Minister to come and speak to the people, why is it that the LOPs, and I think it would be a great idea if LOPs both of the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha together, just before the Parliament begins, the session for the day begins, a session of the, all the 4 sessions that begin, they come and speak to the people of this country directly, talking about what they oppose, what the agenda is going to be, and how they're going to be putting forward people's voices in the parliament and ensure accountability from this government. Do let me know how you like this episode of Parliament with PC, and do subscribe to the channel to continue to know more and be engaged on how the parliament functions and how our parliamentary democracy continues to speak up for the people and how sometimes it is silenced by those who are in position of power. Thank you so much for tuning in and look forward to catching up with you soon.